Hello and welcome back to another PGMMV tutorial. Today is a Patron request from Kasper who wanted to see how to do like an item system where you can either select from your items and then it will show up on your HUD and switch accordingly. With that said, let's get started. All right, so first I wanted to start in the free sample pack that is the item menu sample. Now you can get this if you're on version 1.0.6 on the sample tab, or if you're still in the 1.0.5 versions, I have put it available on my free samples pack way down at the bottom right here, item menu samples. So just go ahead and pick that up and you'll be able to see exactly what's going on in this project. So the first thing is that when we play test this, you can see that we are, first off, we start up, we have a HUD. This is the item that is showing. This is also your coins or your money that you have. If you press escape, you go to the menu. So you'll be able to see that we have a menu thing. And then if you press the escape button, it's going to, wherever the cursor was is what's going to be equipped. So that it's kind of more like a traditional Link to the Past kind of a thing. You're going to select the wrench and now all of a sudden the wrench is on here. And you're also going to be able to pick up items. So now if you go over here, you got this stim pack here, and now the stim pack is going to be selected on your HUD. Right. And then you can also go to a store. I just set up a simple store like Zelda where you can just buy it, yes, and now you have the red key card, which can then unlock, if I remember right, unlock this chest. And now you found the compound bow. So this chest right here required a key card, and so that's how you can make it to where these items are usable. So anyway, let's just kind of get into a brief explanation because I also have another project as well that goes over the system if you're interested. So the first thing is you have to have some kind of a menu scene. And so I have the HUD here, and in the objects here, you can see under the HUD, I like to organize my HUD in folders per layer. That way I know exactly what objects are on what layer. So I just have a HUD folder, which is all the objects in the HUD, then have an item menu folder, which are all the objects in the item menu tab or menu scene. So you can see I have a collar, typical collar, I have the item display, and then the current item. So the current item is probably going to be the logic that we actually want to see. And basically what this is going to do is it's setting up, I'm using animation frames and it's equaling the current item. So you can see that I took the animation here, I took the items, I have them all, let's see where I put them here. Okay, so on this items here, so the HUD items, you can see that I have one direction and I have them all with frames. So these each have a value. 0 would be blank, nothing selected. 1 is going to be this selected, 2 is going to be this selected, 3 this, and so on and so on. And you can see that with that, I needed a variable called current item so that I would know exactly what's going on. So what it does is it's going to set the animation frame depending on the current item. So if current item 1 is selected, then animation frame is going to be selected. This is very similar. I had a video where I did an HP bar like this. And so this is a very similar process. So then it comes down to the processing here. And then this is where you're going to actually start to detect whether you're still in the same item. So you do need a variable. I might have used the HP on this one. So let's see here. Or no, I didn't. I just used this. I said if the animation frame does not equal the current item, so animation frame, let's say we're equipped at 1. Now all of a sudden it's not 1. So we need to change, right? So then we're going to go to set the item. We're going to set the animation set to the new current item. And then we're going to unconditionally go back to processing. That's how we're going to decide what shows. Now you see that in the setup here, I have the items right here. In the set items, I also have items. There's no takeover motion. That way it can reset anything that you might need. But the process is takeover motion. So that way you can just go from here to there, and it remains the same until you change the item again. All right, so that's the first thing going on. The next thing is going to be in the items menu. All right. I'm not going to go over how to pick up an item because it's just really simple. Field of vision is what I'm using, and then it just adds, you got item 5 switch right here, which I guess is important because all of these switches are going to have, or all of these items are going to have their own switches, and that is crucial how I did the menu. So now we're going to go to the menu, the item menu here, and let's go in here, and you can see that it's a 2-object menu, and that's how I like it. I do include a plugin on this one. Yep, called Baz item name, basically. And you're going to want to set the parameter of what is your current item variable. All right. So then once you set these, then these will be set in the runtime. So you only have to set this on this plugin list. All right. So now if we go here, we have this is the background basically and what is showing. So let's start with this first. Go to items and we can see that we have a background here and you can see that we have an effects tab. All right. If you don't have it, you just go to here, add an effects tab, and there you go. Oh, make sure to click OK or else it won't pop up. Now you can see that I have all of the available items that are going to be possible listed on here. They all have a connection point and they all have a switch associated with them and an effect to show with them, right? So if you go to the animation, we can go to the HUD. We can see, or no, not the HUD, the items. Where's the, oh, menu related. Okay, so we got the menu. Here's the background. Here is all of the connection points for the items that I want to show. See that I added all of them right here. And actually, before we move on, you also see that we have the effects right here. So, and they're just basically the showing of the item. That's it. Now, you do want to make sure that on the main page here, you want to make sure that infinite loop is checked. But this was very basic and just a simple setup for your items. Okay, so that is the background part. And it's really that simple, is the effects show based on if the switch is gotten and stuff like that. Now let's go to the cursor. This is the next one. Now in this setup, this one wasn't really important, but I wanted it to stay on the item. And so on the setup here, it actually is a common action that detects where you need to go first, because every time you open the menu, it's going to be new every time. So what I do is I say when the object self is in setup, then we're going to go to the current item basically. So if current item equals 1, then we're going to jump to item 1. It was really that simple as far as that goes. But it has to be in setup, meaning that this menu is being called, and then it has to match to the current item. So this part, kind of voluntary. You don't have to have this part. I just thought it was a nice touch. But as far as this goes, it's really simple. You just go to item, you move the cursor wherever you need to be. In this case, I can just use the background object, the menu items, and I can use the connection point. It's that simple. And it has the animation right here. And then this is the plugin command that I have. It's called change current item and show item name. And all you got to do is select from the, in this case, it's a common. You can also use, or no, it's just purely common. My bad. Been a while. And then you just select what item this is associated with. And then you say change current item to variable to 1. So you have one of those items. And then the show ID is going to be the name that you want to show. So for instance, the item name is name 1. So you're going to have to create the text resource to show the name. All right. So you're going to do this on every item, and then you just simply have the links as your inputs. And it was that simple to set that up. So hopefully that makes sense for this sample. Now here we are in another sample project that's available called the Mega Man-like sample. This is actually based off the series that I did. It's like a complete 4-stage kind of a game project so that you can see the full meal deal. And this is going to be available on my samples pack 3. All right, Mega Man-like game. You can download this and get even more into how I do my menus and stuff like this. Now you can see that in resources, I have these got item kind of switches. And so you can see that I have them all on just for previewing purposes right now. But if we play the game, you can see that when you press escape, you can go to the menu and now they all show up. So if you are on one and you press space, you now equip the boomerang. And then if you leave, you'll have the boomerang. If you equip the flamethrower, now you'll have the flamethrower, and they all have different, abilities, stuff like this. So how did I do this exactly? Well, kind of the same process, really. So if you go to objects here under the UI folder, you can see that I have the, let's go to the menu, okay? So the menu background. Now this background is a similar thing where I have the connection points on there. The cursor is moving to those connection points. And then I have a script. Now this is kind of a script version of the plugin that I showed, so you'll have to make do with the script here. But the purpose of showing this sample in the video is more so how did I change the gun? And so the one thing that I wanted to point out is that the gun is detached from the player. You can see that the player gun is a connected object that is a child that just follows a gun position connection point wherever I want it on the player animations, which are very basic. They're just idle, falls, jumpings, sliding, and hit, occasional climb. They're very basic, but in the player related here, you got the player gun. This one is the one that is processing what weapon is selected. And so if you go to the common actions here, you have a process weapon, and you have two variables here. You have the object self last weapon. So this is a variable that's created on this object. And if it's not equal to the current weapon, then that is going to be 1, or if the scene transfer is on. Now I had to do scene transfer for whatever reason, but the most important one is this one right here. So I have a last variable, last weapon variable, current weapon, common variable, right? So if they're not equal, then they equalize real quick. This is a general go-to jump system that I do. They equalize, so now they know that they are equal, and then they execute to the process weapon state, which is right here. And then you're going to have either your current weapon equals 0, and then for this particular project, I had to have a pause weapon for whatever purpose that was for. But anyway, you can just get the gist from this one where the current weapon equals 1, then you go to the boomerang skill. So then the boomerang skill, matter of fact, we can see this real easily if you select these red paper icon down here. It shows where this is. So we can see the AUG basic. This is kind of the action island for the AUG basic. This is the action island for the boomerang. This is the flamethrower logic, and this is the bomb logic. So you can see that I had all these different weapons associated, but they're processed through this common action jump. So if it's not equal, it processes, jumps to here, goes to the correct one, just like this. And so while there is no motion on these, what this is doing is it changes the animation set. And if you've seen my Mega Man-like series, I'm not equipping guns or anything. I'm changing the animation set. This is just purely the logic of how the bullet comes out, what the bullet needs to do, and stuff like that. So anyway, I hope that this sample and the other sample can kind of come together and show a full circle of how to, equip items, but then also have them do something different as far as in your player gun or something like that. So anyway, I hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions, comments below, Steam Forums Discord, we'll get you figured out. With that said, I'll see you at the next video.